Lightning like Steve McQueen. I'm in the fast lane when the light turns green. And I built tough, I ain't nothing but grit. Cause I made rugged blood, sweat, and spit. Yeah, like a horse I fly. Better push yourself in for a bumpy ride. I like to play hard, but I work harder. And I weather the storm cause I'm built stronger.
What is up, everybody? It's the Freight Coach Morning Show, the top morning show in transportation, coming to you guys every single weekday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Central, to break down some industry headlines and, most importantly, provide some actual insight into what you can do with all of this information. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. This is the real side of freight, ladies and gentlemen. What do I mean by that? I mean, anybody who comes on this show or my twice-a-week long-form podcast is a transportation professional, you guys. I only want to speak to individuals who have done what you're looking to do, or who are currently doing what you're trying to achieve, so we can put the right information out there, you guys, that you can apply, utilize, and see a meaningful difference in your business and your life. It's one of the many reasons why I proudly fly this American flag behind me every single day. A, because we're the greatest nation on earth, but B, I'm living my American dream, and I want to help each and every one of you live yours as well, you guys. We're like, at the end of the day, we're on an absolute mission here to put out the right information, you guys, by transportation professionals. There's no theory on any of this stuff at all, you guys. And, and that's what we're going to be committed to. That's what we're going to continue to do no matter what. So today is a solo show. We're going to dive in to how do you earn business in some turbulent times, because it's not always sunshine and gumdrops out there. There's some real issues that come about in business and everything. And we're going to talk about some examples that I've been through in my career and how I navigated through them. And also, we're going to be breaking down some articles as well. But before we do any of that, as always, you guys, I got to give a shout out to my friends over at VHub, vhubapp.com. Whether you're a broker, carrier, or a shipper, we all need access to trailers at some point in time. And the best part about what VHub has, you guys, is you get paid to move these. So if you're an owner operator or a small fleet and you have a trailer in the shop and it's going to be a couple of weeks to get it fixed, you don't have to shut your business down for that. You can get on there and you get paid to move these trailers for them. That's on top of the revenue that you can get by loading them out. So they got West Valley City, Utah, going up to Calgary, Alberta for $1,550 US to move that, you guys. And now there's 150 drive-ins down in Paragould, Arkansas, needing to get up to Mississauga, Ontario. And if you've never created a drop trailer pool before, you guys can utilize this, because some of the large enterprise shippers out there, it's not that they don't want to work with certain providers for a personal reason. It's because you don't have the equipment that they need to help move the needle in their business. So you can do this now. Like, say, if you have a shipper over in Nashville, you can, and they need to get freight up into Canada, you can do that now with VHub, you guys. And then you get $1,000 Canadian per trailer to move that. And then finally, they got Dallas, Texas going up to Long Sault, Ontario, and you get paid $750 US to move that, you guys. So hit them up, vhubapp.com. My friends Xavier Campos and Stacy Steen, they'll be in the audience. Just do me a favor, let them know that the Freight Coach sent you. Devon Hamilton, good morning, sir. Thank you for tuning in. Zach Williams says, good morning, Freight fam. Zach's with SPI Logistics, you guys. If you guys want to become a freight agent, take control of your financial future, join the team over there, hit up Zach, you guys. Hit him up. Hit up Zach. Hit up anybody. Hit up me. I'll put you in contact with him. That's who my freight agency's through. Alexis Bailey, good morning. Mike Diamond, let's get it. Happy Wednesday to you too, brother. Tara May, good morning. Cody Miller, good fucking morning, freight enthusiast. Andre Stewart, good day, Big Orange fans. Man, thank you so much for tuning in, Andre. Andre, I need to reply to your email. I apologize about that, sir. I will be getting back to you as soon as I'm done with this show. So we're going to talk about, again, it's going to be a solo show today, you guys. So Tracy St. Clair, she's watching over on YouTube. You guys, I go live on YouTube and Twitter as well. If you guys go to any of those other platforms, do me a favor, subscribe and share if you see value in what you hear here today. So it's a solo show today. And we're going to be talking about, like, how do you earn business in a turbulent time? I think that when we're moving freight out there, and again, sarcastically, I say I've only moved 3 truckloads in my career. I've been in transportation for 15 years. And the most business growth that I've achieved through my customers and my current, it was when something went wrong. And that might sound contrary to popular belief and everything out there. Like, yeah, trucks showing up on time and delivering on time is very beneficial for you and your organization to stay in the good graces of your customers. But there's so much power in handling the situations with a solution when there's an issue, right? Because again, it's not always going to be perfect. It's not always a perfect world scenario. Real things go wrong. And, I've had a time where I had a trailer driver picked up and somehow it delivered on 3 trailers. I don't know how that happened, but it did. So I took that though, and I held myself accountable in those moments. We had an action plan on what we were going to do differently so that didn't happen again. But most importantly, I didn't I didn't pass the blame to anybody but myself in those moments. When there's damages to products and stuff like that, because, load shift in transit, things happen out there. Again, don't waste your time on a back and forth, he said, she said, blame game. Come up with a solution, because at the end of the day, if something shifted in transit, where can we go to get it reworked and returned to the facility? Or how do we dispose of the product if the customer doesn't want it anymore? Have a plan in place, you guys, and how you handle those situations is what really separates you. Like, that's where the real bread and butter is in this industry, is because anybody can do it when it's easy, right? Just like anybody wants to work out when they're motivated, but when shit's not going right, when you're fucking sore, when you're tired, everything else, those are the days that really build things up. And the same thing goes in business as well. When you're building this up, it's like anybody can do this job when it's easy, right? Anybody can do this job when everything's going according to plan. But how you handle those moments are so key, and having an action plan in place. And if you're newer in the industry, or maybe you've never had a claim before, or maybe you've never had that. If you have a claims department, fortunately, go sit with them, learn what you need to do in those moments in the event that it does happen. Or if you don't, and you're out here and you have your own insurance company, talk to your insurance agent about that specific scenario. Because again, you guys, it's not the fact that something happens. All right. It's how you avoid certain issues in the industry. That is what causes more problems than not. I have found that when there's stuff that's going on, just ripping the Band-Aid off and delivering that message, no matter what, is so crucial, because like they have contingency plans in place on their end as well. And the more that we try and mask things and avoid issues, that's just going to build up more and more angst against us as a provider, as opposed to just ripping the Band-Aid off. Hey, the driver's running late. They're not going to make it here, or there's a breakdown. Here's the receipts. Here's what happened. What do you need me to do in those moments? Because again, when I'm prospecting people right now, I'm having these hard conversations on the front end, right? Like, I would rather have the happy-go-lucky conversation of, hey, when something goes wrong, like, who's your after hours contact if there's a delay? Who do you want me to reach out to in that moment? Or, hey, if there's any damage to any product, again, I'm not advocating for it to happen, but if that happens, how do you want us to handle those situations? I am such a proponent for having those conversations on the front end with your prospects and your customers in the happy-go-lucky stage, that when it happens in the heat of things, you know what to do, you know who to reach out to, and you know how to handle those things. Because again, real things are going to happen, you guys, and it is a massive opportunity to grow. Because again, most people, when there's issues, when there's turbulent times, they fucking run and hide, right? They run and hide and they try and avoid. At the end of the day, you just got to put your best foot forward. Is it going to work all the time? Absolutely not. It doesn't matter what you do and say. In some situations, people just aren't going to want to work with you anymore. Okay, cool. Or it doesn't matter what you do and say. People are going to talk shit and whatever. Fuck them. It's just part of it, right? But again, in this specific example, it's a massive opportunity when there's an issue to own it. Have those conversations on the front end on how they want certain scenarios handled, so you know how to handle it in that moment. And again, you deliver that message with a purpose. You have a plan. And then that's what's going to separate you, because most people don't do that at all. So yeah, that's my little spiel today. Again, on all my solo shows like this, you guys, I try and put a topic out there. I used to put these out in like daily videos, but as my company has grown, my time, I have to be mindful of my time. And if I'm already going live for 30 minutes every day to break down some articles, might as well throw a topic in there to sprinkle in when I don't have a guest. And as always, if you guys have any sales or operations related questions out there, drop them in the chat. Or every Friday is a designated Q&A show, right? That it's just for sales and operations related questions that you have. DM them to me. I'll answer them live on the show. All right, Nick Erdman, good morning. Keep up the great show. I appreciate that, Nick. Thank you. Luke Wright, good morning. Thanks for joining in. Javier Hernandez, yo, what's up, dude? Good to see you, my man. April Maroney, good morning to you as well. It's that Freight Wednesday. Let's get it. Alexis Bailey says that's good stuff. I appreciate that, Alexis. All right. First article we're going to break down here coming from, I don't know if you've heard of these guys before. Morgan Stanley. I don't know if you're aware of them. Sorry, I'm being sarcastic. This article is from freightwaves.com, and this is Morgan Stanley sees freight upcycle nearing. Shippers becoming less negative on economy and transportation needs. A dash of optimism around improving freight demand is in the back half of the year was noted in a quarterly survey of shippers released on Monday. Morgan Stanley's Freight Pulse showed sentiment among the group improved slightly, even as data points have yet to point to an upward trajectory of freight markets. Of shippers polled, 38% said that they would like, 38% said that they would likely maintain current inventory levels, which was a 10% point increase from the fourth quarter report. The number of respondents saying they need to reduce inventories also declined for the first time since the third quarter of 2021. Nearly 75% of shippers surveyed expect inventories to normalize in 2023, with almost 50% saying it will happen in the second half of the year. Despite all the bad headlines and mixed data points on macro, our latest quarterly shipper survey keeps showing signs of improvement under the surface, stated Ravi Shankar, who's Morgan Stanley's transportation equity analyst. Heading into the first quarter earnings season, which starts in earnest next week when JB Hunt reports, many analysts are taking a wait-and-see approach on the back half after being more bullish to start the year. I think that's a pretty good talking point, right? Like this goes in line with what some other transportation executives were talking about out there. Again, all my shows are fucking recorded, so you can go back and check. I've been saying that later this year is when a rebound was what my gut was telling me. Again, I'm just going based off of data and experience in the industry on when spot market would start to creep up and supersede contract. And that's when you're going to start to say tender rejections rolling up. That's when the more life is going to be breathed into it. And then again, as inventory levels start needing to be replenished, because, again, like what happened throughout COVID, like we saw, was there was a panic buy, right? Like they didn't have access to inventory. And again, as a retailer, don't really have anything to sell. You don't really make any revenue. So they bought a lot, and we're just dealing with that. You guys, those were some pretty unprecedented-ish times that were out there, and people acted the way that they thought best for their companies. So therefore, there's going to be an opportunity that's going to come with this, right? So again, to the carriers that are out there that primarily operate off of the spot market, that's a welcoming sight. That's like 3 months away, 4 months away. And again, my next article that we're going to be breaking down is going to help kind of answer some of the questions that you might have of, hey, what do I do in these moments? Outlook improves among shippers and capacity stays loose. Shippers' overall view of the economy also moved higher for the second consecutive quarter. However, a 4.9 reading remained comfortably below the 15-year-old survey's long-term average of 5.8. Shippers and the manufacturers of food and beverage verticals were most constructive, while responses from retailers saw the biggest declines. The outlook for transportation capacity across all modes loosened again. Capacity predictions for the next 7 months were the loosest for air freight and ocean, while rail is expected to be the tightest. However, the outlook for rail capacity saw the biggest sequential deterioration out of all modes. And then I think a lot of that, why rail expects to remain tight. My guess would be because like the labor unions haven't necessarily finalized anything yet. So they're probably predicting that, hey, let's just kind of throw that out there. Because if anything does happen, obviously capacity is going to tighten up and they're going to be more and more selective of what's going on out there. The outlook for both volume and price growth in truckload was described as pretty grim, with volumes consistently in negative territory, similar to 2020 levels, but slightly better than 2009 levels. Pricing sentiment saw the biggest declines ever recorded, down in some single-digit range. However, the report pointed out that the comparisons were to record price levels. So again, That's always something to take into consideration when you're looking at data. Is it consistent over a 10-year or a 5-year period? What was the spike? What was the explanation for that spike in that moment? I mean, you can go back to, I think it was like 2016 or 2017 or whatever that was. There was a polar vortex, right? The entire top half of the hemisphere was fucking frozen for like 4 straight months. That shifted a lot of commodities that were moved in dry van into reefers for a weather protect need at that time. So therefore, massive spike in reefer pricing for that. So again, like you got to look for the anomalies. Why are they? What's the reasoning behind it? Let me see. FreightWaves trucking data has yet to inflect positively. Rejected tenders continue to bobble among the bottom along the spot rates. And yeah, we talked about that yesterday. So if you want to hear my opinion on that, go back to yesterday's show and watch that replay out there. There was no change in truckload capacity expectations, with most respondents indicating intermodal will soon be the loosest mode after being the tightest over the last 3 quarters. Even with truckload rates and rail service issues, 43% of shippers said that they are shifting some freight from truckload to the rails. This was the first increase in a year for the metric, with only 25% saying that they would make the change a quarter ago. Again, rail historically cheaper than truckload, right? And then if there's no, it's the most effective mode of transportation for the most part. If you're a shipper out there and you're moving stuff cross country, from a pricing perspective, if there's no timeline associated with it, you need to explore rail as a pricing option. But if there isn't, hey, we have to have it delivered on the 27th of April or whatever that looks like, ship a truckload 100 times out of 100. That's going to be more of a guarantee at that point. But again, if there's loose things out there, like naturally people are going to shift and gravitate towards back towards that, because that the panic of it all isn't there anymore, right? Like the absolute need to push this stuff isn't there anymore like it was. So like customers aren't going to put out half a truckload and pay a dedicated truck price anymore, like we've been talking about. So that's just the reality of where we are. Let me see. And then expectations for parcel call for slight year-over-year volume growth. We are not looking at the macro outlook. We are not sure what the macro outlook holds in store for us, but what is very clear is that at the current paces of destocking, inventory levels should be normalized soon. And if the consumer holds up in second quarter of 2023, conditions are right for restocking upcycle, said Shanker, who is with Morgan Stanley. So again, this is welcoming data here. It was a good article from FreightWaves. They broke, I thought there was a lot of good information in here. The title of it is Morgan Stanley sees freight upcycle nearing. And again, you guys, the links to all these articles will be over on the Freight Coach YouTube channel, as well as the Coffee with the Freight Coach audio only replay of this on iTunes and Spotify. So for me, again, you guys, like looking at different data points is very key. Like I personally want to look at multiple data points that are out there. That's why I mean, that's how I make the best decision is, like, again, look at a Morgan Stanley, look at DAT, look at FreightWaves sonar data, look at the JOC, look at the S&P markets, look at all of this stuff and make your overall macro business decisions based on this. Now, how does that help you quote freight better? It's tough to say, because that's more looking at the macro. But again, if you're looking at it from a long-term opportunities perspective, which you need to, right? Like you need to look at this stuff. If you're in business, you can't look at it as the transaction today. You got to look at it as the next 30, 60, 90 days. How do I stay in business? How do I make sure my overhead's paid and everything else? And this information puts it breathes the right breath of fresh air that if a company like Morgan Stanley, who we all fucking know who they are, is saying this, that's a welcoming sign that they're seeing enough out there that they're willing to put it out there in their call that there's an opportunity for a rebound. So that's good. That's good to see. Andre Stewart, I like your idea of a video. I know a great videographer that can help. Dude, I appreciate the offer, Andre. I usually just use my cell phone for a lot of that. And it's more of a timing thing now where it's like I'm soliciting new business for my brokerage and everything throughout the day. So it's like I'm trying to like maximize my time. When I get the new studio up and running here, which should be getting the keys here soon, we're going to get that built out. And then we're going to be doing a lot of cool stuff from a content perspective. But I appreciate that. Mike, what's up? Mike Mikulik, what's going on, man? He says, yeah, we are going to see each other at the TIA. You guys, again, Mike's with SPI, hit him up, freight agent, take control of your financial future. And then you'll see me talking to the SBI crews out there. You'll see me in orange at the TIA next week in Orlando, like always. All right, next article, you guys, is going to be from fleetowner.com. Title of this article is Take the Time to Reevaluate Your Operation. Before I start reading this one, I think that that's something that it's so crucial to do as a business owner. I'm doing that right now. I'm looking at where things are in my business. Do I really need certain services throughout the month, or did I sign up for them in a panic because I thought I needed it at the moment, and it turns out I haven't touched it since? Because I mean, shit, when I'm creating content and stuff, like there's some music sites that I paid for a year membership from. There's some video stuff and I was reckless, right? Like, and again, like these are the things that you learn in business as you're progressing and building stuff out. Is I literally bought shit that I didn't need. I used it one time and it was not worth the overall annual fee that I had paid. So I'm currently doing that because some of my subscriptions are going to be up here in the next couple of months. And is it going to be worth me paying for those again? And a lot of it is no, it's not. And again, like there's no playbook to entrepreneurship, right? Like there's no playbook out there. As much as you want to read and listen to podcasts and listen to content, the best form is just to fucking dive in feet first and start getting your teeth kicked in, because you learn a lot of valuable information. You learn some expensive lessons along the lines. And, for me, anyways, it's the best lesson to learn because it's the only way I'll learn. All right. So given the turbulence of the last several years, chances are that you have not had time to reevaluate your existing practices and procedures. It is likely that you were too busy scrambling to find new equipment and procure the replacement parts you needed to keep your aging fleet on the road. As supply chain issues are getting resolved and more businesses are returning to normal operations, now is a good time to take a step back and cast a critical eye on your operation to see if there are areas where you can make improvements. A lot of buying patterns were changed over the last couple of years, and make sure you have the right kind of equipment running for each duty cycle in order to improve your overall operating efficiency. Right sizing your fleet means that you have the corrected mix of tractors and trailers and trucks in your fleet, and including the right combination of sleepers and day cabs. If possible, take a clean sheet approach to routing to see if there are any ways to optimize pickup and deliveries. And I think that that's very key out there. And because I've talked to a lot of people here on my show about this, is, how do we get the most ROI from the equipment that we're purchasing? Are you working with any dedicated maintenance companies? Do you have preventative maintenance checks scheduled up for when you're doing your resets at home and everything else to keep your business operational and functional and keeping it roadworthy and everything to minimize, not saying that breakdowns stop when you do this, but like at the same time, it minimizes it, right? Like you can identify a potential issue when your truck's in your yard, that could potentially save a tow bill and everything else. So it's looking at that and it's assessing your current operation. And the same thing with routing as well. Are you making the best routing decisions for your company in those moments? And, again, shameless plug to my friends over at Trucker Tools. You can utilize them as a driver and find out where's the most effective fuel stop. Maybe you've been getting it at exit 50 and, exit, 10 miles down the road has it for fucking 20 cents a gallon cheaper, or however that looks. Again, I'm just speaking out here because on Trucker Tools' app, it lists out fuel stops along the way. So you can find the most effective fuel pricing and everything else. And then from a routing perspective as well, how can you plan that out better? How can maybe that load that you've been doing isn't the most profitable for your operation because it costs you time and hours on your clock and everything. It also goes talking about technological advancements, and you need to spend time reviewing your specs. Safety and efficiency improvements have came out there over the last several years. And then also now is the time to begin looking at some of the alternative fuel options that are becoming available. While there is no right answer when it comes to all alternative fueled powertrains, there are powertrain options that work in a vary of duty cycles. Begin your regular exploration now as regulatory and societal pressures are continuing out there. This is also a good time to look at improving your fuel economy for your traditional diesel trucks. And it's part of cleaner transportation future. And there are many fuel saving devices that specs, and then again, obviously fuel is a major expense out there. Insurance fuel is pretty much damn near 1 in 2 from most owner operators and fleets P&Ls. that are out there. So again, what can you do to conserve fuel in those moments? Looking into investing into an APU unit for your truck, or, again, I don't believe in fucking governing the government telling you to govern your vehicle at a certain miles per hour. But again, looking at the cost benefit of running your truck at 65 miles an hour as opposed to 75 miles an hour, what that can do for your fuel burn. My man, Adam Wingfield, talks about that all the time. So again, it is reassessing how you're going through some of these things right now. And then also talking about hiring, onboarding, training, and retention. And I personally think retention is the biggest issue outside of, like the double brokering shit that's going on out there. But the retention in this industry is the biggest issue plaguing it, I think, as a whole, because, turnover is at like 95% up there. Like, it's very, very high as an industry whole for our drivers. So listening to our drivers more about what they can do to improve their day-to-day. Again, like, I get an inside view because I got family members who still drive, right? Like, I hear the fucking realities of what's going on out there. And if we want to attract more people into this industry and retain talent, we have to look at our operations. What can we do differently? All right. You can't always blame everybody else for the problems. Sometimes you got to take a hard fucking look in the mirror and say, it's my company. I'm the reason it's failing. What can I do differently to improve it? And the best part about it is you can make that change, right? Like, you can make that change right now. How can we retain more of our drivers? What can we do differently to keep our trucks seated out there? Again, this is a good article, very good article. This is from Fleet Owner, and take time to reevaluate your operation. I think that holds true for literally everybody in this industry, whether you're a carrier, whether you're a broker, a tech whatever that looks like. Take this time to reassess your operations and see, are you really if you're breaking down your P&L, if you're seeing, what am I spending my money on every single month? Is that needed still? Can I go without that? Was that a one-time thing that I ended up paying for 12 months for? So again, look at that. Take this time, you guys, because again, there's opportunities fucking everywhere, no matter what. All right. I don't think we're going to get to the third article today, and that's fine. Devon Hamilton, what do I think about e-carrier check? I like him a lot, man. Jared Ross is my man. I talked to Jared Ross a lot over there. I would look into it, man. If you want an introduction, let me know. DM me your email address, and I'll put you in contact with Jared directly, man. I literally love what they have as a platform. They're a good group of guys over there. Michelle Thacker Hanby says, preach, Chris. I try, Michelle. But yeah, that's going to be it for today, you guys. We're not going to be able to get to a third article. But yeah, we'll be back tomorrow. As always, you guys, the Freight Coach Morning Show. We are the top podcast in transportation, you guys. We're there because of each and every one of you who tune in every single day. You guys subscribe to the show, you share the show, you rank the show, you do all of that. That's how we continue to reach more and more people in this industry, you guys. That's how we continue to improve this industry as a whole. And that's what I'm dedicated to here, you guys, every single day, is to put the right information out there. So, good. It's good to see that you're already using them, man. I like them a lot. But yeah, guys, that's it for today. You guys, we'll be back tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Central, the Freight Coach Morning Show. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys, and we'll be talking to you soon.